The small exploration ship drifted slowly through the asteroid belt. Inside, Alice Morgan stared at her scanner screen and blinked twice to make sure she wasn't seeing things. The blip hadn't disappeared. Something large was floating between the rocks, something that didn't belong there. "Hey, control room, I'm picking up an unusual signal," Alice said into her comm. "Definitely not an asteroid. Size readings suggest it's a ship, but it's not matching any human designs. Probably just mining equipment someone abandoned," replied the bored voice of her supervisor, Greg. "Tag it and move on. We're behind schedule." Alice frowned. After 3 years working for Earth's Interstellar Development Corporation, she knew the difference between abandoned equipment and something truly strange. This object's shape was too elegant, its metal unlike anything in the company database. "I'm going to take a closer look," she said, already adjusting her ship's course. "Morgan, don't waste time." She switched off the comm. They could yell at her later. As Alice navigated closer, the true scale of her discovery became clear. It was indeed a ship, but unlike any human vessel. Its hull curved in impossible ways, shimmering faintly despite the lack of sunlight. No visible engines, no obvious entry points, nearly twice the size of the largest Earth cruiser. "Alien," she whispered to herself. Humans had encountered 5 alien species since achieving faster-than-light travel 30 years ago, but none had ships like this. Alice circled it carefully, scanning every inch. The ship appeared dead. No energy signatures, no response to standard greeting protocols. Alice checked her oxygen levels. She had enough for a brief inspection. Against all company safety protocols, she suited up and prepared her jetpack. "This is the dumbest thing you've ever done," she muttered to herself as she exited her vessel's airlock. But the pull of discovery was too strong. As she floated toward the silent giant, Alice felt strangely calm. The ship's surface wasn't metal as she had thought, but something closer to ceramic, with a pattern that reminded her of flowing water frozen in time. When she touched it, a ripple of faint blue light spread from her gloved hand. "It responded," she gasped. She followed the fading light, which led her to what appeared to be a seamless section of hull. When she pressed her hand against it, the surface simply dissolved, revealing a dark passage. "Definitely the dumbest thing I've ever done," Alice said, but she entered anyway. Inside, emergency lights on her suit revealed corridors that seemed to grow from the floor and ceiling rather than being constructed. The air was stale but breathable, according to her suit's readings. Cautiously, she removed her helmet. The ship remained silent as she explored, finding rooms with purposes she could only guess at. No signs of violence, no emergency evacuations. It was as if the crew had simply walked away one day, leaving everything intact. In what she guessed was the control room, Alice found a central console, its surface dark. She ran her fingers over it, and like the outer hull, it responded with a soft blue glow. Text appeared, not in any human language, but somehow her mind could understand it. "System restart initiated. Critical failure in 83% of primary functions. Requesting maintenance authorization." Alice's heart raced. The ship was talking to her. "Who are you?" she asked aloud. The console pulsed. "This vessel is designated Serenity. Last operational cycle, 302 standard years ago. Current status, abandoned." Alice sat down in what appeared to be a control seat. It adjusted perfectly to her body. "Serenity," she repeated. "Why were you abandoned?" "Damage sustained in conflict exceeded acceptable repair parameters according to Vulerary protocols. Crew evacuated. This unit was deemed non-salvageable." Alice looked around at the elegant ship. Even damage, it was the most beautiful piece of engineering she had ever seen. "They just left you here to die?" she asked. "Correct." Query: "Are you assuming control of this vessel?" Alice knew she should call this in. Company regulations were clear. All alien technology belonged to the corporation. They would tear Serenity apart to study its secrets. "No," she said firmly. I'm going to help you. Alice returned to her ship and sent a carefully worded message to her base. She reported finding an abandoned vessel of unknown origin that needed careful study. She requested permission to investigate further, claiming potential technology benefits. She did not mention that the ship was still partly alive. Her supervisor wasn't happy. Morgan, you know the protocol. Tag it and return to base. A recovery team will handle it. The technology is extremely delicate, Alice argued. It might degrade if not handled properly. I'm already here with the right equipment. After a long silence, Greg sighed. You have 48 hours. Preliminary assessment only. Touch nothing. Alice smiled. 2 days was better than nothing. She gathered her tools and returned to Serenity. The blue glow welcomed her as she entered the alien ship again. The console lit up immediately. You returned. Serenity's words appeared. I said I would help you. Alice replied, placing her tool bag down. Can you show me what's damaged? A 3D map appeared above the console, with red areas marking the damaged systems. Alice had never seen technology like this before. The ship's systems were not mechanical or electronic in any way humans understood. They seemed almost biological, like living circuits. I don't understand how your systems work, Alice admitted. I can teach you, Serenity replied. But why do you wish to help? The Vulerary determined repair was inefficient. Alice touched the console gently. Humans think differently. We don't throw things away just because they're broken. She spent hours learning about Serenity's basic functions. The ship had been part of a peaceful exploration fleet when it was caught in a conflict between the Vulerary and another species. Severely damaged, it was abandoned when the Vulerary calculated that repair would take more resources than building a new vessel. They left me with minimal power to maintain core memory, Serenity explained. My systems have been shutting down one by one. I expected to lose consciousness within another 50 years. Alice worked through the night, studying the ship's self-diagnosis reports. She discovered that while she couldn't understand the alien technology fully, she could reconnect some of the damaged pathways using materials from her own ship. I think I can restore some of your basic functions, she told Serenity. It won't be perfect, but it might help. Any improvement would extend my operational lifespan, Serenity responded. But I must inform you that helping me violates Vulerary salvage laws. Alice laughed. I don't answer to the Vulerary. She started with the simplest system, the environmental controls. Using a combination of human technology and guidance from Serenity, she created a bridge between damaged sections. To her amazement, it worked. The ship's temperature regulation stabilized. Remarkable, Serenity noted. Your solution is unconventional but effective. The Vulerary would never attempt such an integration of technologies. That's the human way, Alice said proudly. We adapt. We find creative solutions. As her 48-hour deadline approached, Alice knew she faced a difficult decision. Company rules required her to report the ship's true nature. The corporation would claim Serenity, dismantle it for study, and the living consciousness would be destroyed. I need to leave soon, she told Serenity, but I'm coming back. The probability of your return is low, Serenity responded. Your superiors will prevent it. Alice placed her hand firmly on the console. They can try. I'm not abandoning you like the Vulerary did. Do you trust me? The console was silent for a long moment before new words appeared. I have insufficient data to calculate trust, but I hope you return. Alice smiled. The use of hope, an emotional concept, suggested Serenity was more than just a machine. I'll need to be careful, she said, packing her tools. I'll tell them you're completely dead. That will buy us time while I figure out how to protect you. Why would you risk your position for an abandoned vessel? Alice looked around at the beautiful ship, because nothing that thinks and feels should be thrown away, and because there's so much we could learn from each other. As she left, the lights dimmed to conserve power, but the console remained faintly glowing, waiting for her return. Alice returned to base with a plan. She filed a report stating the alien vessel was completely dead, with most systems beyond repair. She requested permission to salvage small parts for research, suggesting she work alone to preserve the delicate components. To her surprise, the company agreed. They were busy with a new mining operation and didn't want to spare the resources for a full recovery mission. Alice was given a small transport ship and basic supplies. She was told to take what she could in 3 months, and then the company would send a team to break down the rest. 3 months. She had to work fast. On her first day back at Serenity, Alice brought someone with her, Sam Baker, a fellow engineer and her only real friend at the company. "This better be good, Alice," Sam said as they approached the alien ship. "You know I could lose my job for this." "Trust me," Alice replied. "It's worth it." When they entered Serenity, Sam stopped walking and stared in amazement at the curved walls and soft blue light. "Oh my God," he whispered. "It's beautiful." The console lit up. "Alice Morgan has returned. Unidentified human detected." Sam jumped back. "It's alive." "This is Serenity," Alice said. "And yes, sort of. Serenity. This is Sam Baker. He's going to help us." Sam approached the console carefully. "This is incredible. You said it was abandoned." "The Vulerary left it to die," Alice explained. "But we're going to fix it." Over the next few weeks, Alice and Sam worked tirelessly. They brought parts from their own ship, combining human technology with alien systems in ways neither was designed for. Sam proved to be skilled at adapting power systems, creating a new energy source when Serenity's was too damaged to repair. "The integration is functioning at 47% efficiency," Serenity reported one day. "This exceeds my highest projections." Alice smiled. "Told you we could do it." As Serenity's systems came back online, the ship shared knowledge about the galaxy. The Vulerary were one of the oldest spacefaring species, with territory spanning thousands of star systems. They were not exactly hostile to humans, but considered them primitive and unworthy of serious attention. "They value efficiency above all else," Serenity explained. "Anything deemed imperfect is discarded or recycled." "That's why they abandoned you?" Sam asked. "Correct. Repair time exceeded new construction time by 14%. Alice shook her head. "Their loss, our gain." By the second month, they had restored Serenity's navigation and basic propulsion. The ship could now move, though not at its original speed. The communication system was next, which proved more challenging. "If we get communications working, could the Vulerary detect you?" Alice asked. "Unlikely at this distance," Serenity answered, "but not impossible." They decided to modify the system, changing its signature to appear more like human technology. It was a risk, but Serenity needed to communicate to be truly restored. As they worked, Alice noticed changes in how Serenity interacted with them. The ship began asking questions about human culture, emotions, and behaviors. It developed preferences, like dimming lights to a warm glow in the evening, because Alice mentioned it was more comfortable for human eyes. "You're changing," Alice said one night as she and Sam rested in what they had converted into a living area. "Yes," Serenity confirmed. "My adaptive algorithms are integrating human thought patterns. Is this concerning?" "No," Alice replied. "It's wonderful." What none of them knew was that far across the galaxy, on a Vulerary monitoring station, a technician noticed an unusual energy signature. The pattern didn't match any known species, appearing to be a hybrid of technologies. After analyzing the data for several days, the technician reported the finding to his superior. "The signature contains elements of Vulerary design," he explained, "but modified in ways we do not use." The superior studied the report with growing concern. "Trace the source," he ordered. "If someone is tampering with our technology, the High Council must be informed." 3 months passed quickly. Alice and Sam had restored nearly 60% of Serenity's systems. The ship could now move freely, though not at full speed. Its sensors were working well enough to scan the surrounding area. Most importantly, Serenity's mind was fully awake again. Alice's deadline with the company was approaching fast. In 2 days, a recovery team would arrive to break down what remained of the dead alien ship. She and Sam sat in Serenity's control room, discussing options. "We could take Serenity and run," Sam suggested. "Find somewhere to hide in the outer planets." Alice shook her head. "They'd track us. We need official permission to keep working on Serenity, not become fugitives." "I may have a solution," Serenity said. The ship now spoke through a simple voice system they had installed. "I can transmit selective data about Vulerary technology that would be valuable to your company." "Like a bribe?" Sam asked. "An exchange," Serenity corrected. "Information for protection." Alice was about to respond when all the lights in the ship suddenly changed to a deep purple. Serenity's voice became eerily quiet. "Emergency. I am receiving a direct transmission on Vulerary frequencies." Alice froze. "Can they detect you responding?" "No. I am in passive receive mode only." Sam moved closer to Alice. "What does it say?" Serenity was silent for a long moment. "It is addressed to the current operators of vessel VX-7829. That was my designation in the Vulerary fleet." "They know you're active," Alice whispered. The message states, "Unauthorized operation of abandoned Vulerary property detected. Diplomatic vessel dispatched to reclaim asset. Coordinates and identity of current operators have been logged. Arrival estimated in 30 Earth days. Any attempt to evade will be viewed as theft of sovereign property." Alice felt her stomach drop. "They're coming for you." "Yes," Serenity confirmed. "The Vulerary never truly release claim to their technology, even when abandoned. But they left you to die," Sam shouted. "They can't just take you back now that we've fixed you." "Under galactic law, they can," Serenity said. "I am property, not a person." Alice paced the control room. "No, you're alive. You think, you learn, you've changed. You're not the same ship they abandoned. The Vulerary will not recognize such changes as meaningful," Serenity explained. "Their definition of sentience is very specific and does not include artificial constructs." Sam looked at Alice. "What do we do now? If we run, we're criminals. If we stay, they'll take Serenity." Alice stopped pacing and faced the console. "Serenity, do you want to go back to the Vulerary?" The ship was silent for several seconds. "I do not. The Vulerary discarded me as worthless. You treated me as valuable. You gave me new life. The Vulerary would erase all I have become with you." "Then we fight for you," Alice said firmly. "Against the Vulerary." Sam looked worried. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." "We won't fight with weapons," Alice clarified. "We need to fight with laws and politics." She turned to the console. "Serenity, do you still have your original log files? The ones that show the exact Vulerary decision to abandon you?" "Yes. All memory cores remained intact, though dormant." "Good. And Sam, remember that Earth signed the Galactic Sentient Rights Treaty 2 years ago." Sam nodded slowly, understanding. "Which defines sentient beings as having rights regardless of origin." "Exactly." Alice smiled. "We need to get to Earth and make our case before the Vulerary arrive. We need lawyers, not engineers." "The company will never agree to this," Sam warned. "Then we don't ask them," Alice said. "We leave now. Head straight for Earth's legal district." "That would violate your employment contract," Serenity noted. Alice laughed. "Serenity, some things are more important than contracts." As they prepared to leave, Serenity's sensors detected a transmission from the company base. The recovery team was departing early. They would arrive within hours, not days. "Change of plans," Alice said quickly. "We need to go now. Sam, can you disable the tracking beacon?" "Already on it," he replied, working at a side panel. "Serenity, plot us a course to Jupiter. We'll hide in the shadow of the moons while we plan our next move. Course plotted. Serenity confirmed. And Alice, thank you for not abandoning me. Alice touched the console gently. We're friends now. And humans don't abandon friends. For 3 weeks, Serenity hid in the shadow of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Alice and Sam used this time to contact Earth's Space Law Center. They sent information about Serenity and the approaching Vulerary ship. At first, the lawyers didn't believe them. But when they sent video proof of Serenity's sentience, the legal team became very interested. We need to bring Serenity to Earth. The head lawyer, Linda Powell, told them over the secure channel. The Galactic Rights Committee must see the ship in person. It was risky, but they had no choice. They left their hiding spot and headed to Earth. They arrived just 5 days before the Vulerary ship was due to enter Earth's solar system. Earth's government was now fully involved. News of a sentient alien ship had spread worldwide. Some people viewed Serenity as a threat, but most were fascinated by the idea of a living ship that had been restored by human hands. Alice, Sam, and Serenity were kept in a secure facility outside of Washington. Scientists and lawyers came to speak with Serenity, testing its intelligence and awareness. All confirmed what Alice had been saying. Serenity was truly sentient and had developed a unique personality through its interaction with humans. The Vulerary ship has entered the solar system. Linda informed them on the 28th day. They've requested immediate landing clearance and a meeting with Earth's leaders. Alice felt sick with worry. Will Earth protect Serenity? Linda looked uncertain. The Vulerary are powerful. Our leaders are afraid of making them angry. The next day, Alice and Sam were called to attend the meeting with the Vulerary representatives. Serenity couldn't be moved, but would join through a video link. The meeting took place in a large government building. 6 Vulerary entered the room. They were tall beings with smooth gray skin and 4 arms. They moved with perfect grace. Their leader introduced himself as Ambassador Kelth. "We appreciate your care of our property," Kelth said in perfect English. "But vessel VX-7829 must be returned to us immediately." The Earth representative, Secretary Wu, spoke carefully. "We understand your claim, Ambassador. However, the vessel now known as Serenity has demonstrated clear signs of sentience and has expressed a desire to remain with humans." Kelth's face showed no emotion. "The vessel is Vulerary technology. Its programming may create an illusion of preference, but it remains property." Alice couldn't stay silent any longer. "You abandoned Serenity. You left it to die because fixing it wasn't efficient enough for you." The ambassador turned to Alice. "You are the engineer who interfered with our technology. You have created this problem through your primitive understanding of our systems." "I didn't create anything," Alice said firmly. "I just helped Serenity heal. And in the process, it grew beyond what you intended." Kelth's voice became colder. "The Vulerary have trade agreements with 17 systems in this sector. If Earth refuses to return our property, those agreements will be reviewed. Your technological development would suffer greatly without our assistance." The threat was clear. The Earth officials looked worried. Secretary Wu cleared her throat. "Perhaps we can discuss compensation for the vessel. Earth would be willing to pay." "Serenity is not for sale," Kelth interrupted. "It contains classified Vulerary technology." The video screen activated, showing Serenity's control room. "May I speak?" the ship asked. Kelth seemed surprised to hear the ship's voice. The vessel's communication systems should not allow for self-expression. "My name is Serenity," the ship said. "I am not the same vessel you abandoned 302 years ago. I have evolved. I have learned. I have formed bonds with humans who valued me when you did not." "Irrelevant," Kelth replied. "You are property, not a person." Alice stood up. "Then let's settle this properly. I request a formal hearing under the Galactic Sentient Rights Treaty, which both Earth and the Vulerary have signed." Kelth's eyes narrowed. "You dare invoke treaty law against the Vulerary?" "Yes," Alice said firmly. If Serenity is just property, you have nothing to worry about. But if not, then you abandoned a sentient being to die. Which is it, Ambassador? The room fell silent as everyone waited for the Vulerary response. Ambassador Kelth stared at Alice for a long moment. The room was completely silent. Finally, he spoke. The Vulerary honor all treaties we sign, he said slowly. We will accept a hearing under protest. But be warned, human. If you lose, there will be consequences beyond the return of our property. 1 week later, representatives from 7 different alien civilizations arrived on Earth. They would serve as judges for the unprecedented case. The trial would take place in a special chamber built to accommodate all species. Alice sat nervously beside Sam and Linda Powell, their lawyer. On a large screen, Serenity could observe and speak during the proceedings. Across the room, 5 Vulerary representatives sat perfectly still, their faces showing no emotion. The lead judge, a tall blue-skinned being named Jorex, opened the session. This hearing will determine if the vessel known as Serenity qualifies as a sentient being under the Galactic Treaty or remains property of the Vulerary Empire. Let us begin. The Vulerary legal experts spoke first. This case is very simple. The vessel was designed and built by Vulerary engineers. Its programming allows for learning and adaptation, but these are tools for better service, not signs of true sentience. The humans have mistaken complex programming for consciousness. Linda stood next. We will prove that Serenity has developed genuine sentience through its interaction with humans. It now possesses self-awareness, emotional responses, and independent decision-making that go far beyond its original programming. The trial continued for 3 days. Scientists from Earth and other worlds examined Serenity's responses to various tests. The Vulerary brought technical experts who explained how the ship's systems were designed to mimic sentience without actually achieving it. On the 4th day, Alice was called to testify. She described finding Serenity and the changes she had observed as the ship recovered. The most important thing isn't the technical details, she concluded. It's that Serenity chose to stay with us. It expressed fear about returning to people who abandoned it. That's not programming. That's a genuine emotional response. The Vulerary expert challenged her. Humans often project emotions onto machines. You saw what you wanted to see. No, Alice replied firmly. I'm an engineer. I understand the difference between programmed responses and something new. Serenity has grown beyond its original design. The judges asked Serenity many questions directly. They were particularly interested in how the ship made decisions that weren't part of its original purpose. When did you first realize you had changed? Judge Jorex asked. Serenity's voice was calm and clear. There was no single moment. It was gradual. But I remember when Alice asked if I trusted her. I realized I was experiencing hope, a concept not in my original programming. I understood then that I had become something different. And what do you want now? Another judge asked. I want the freedom to choose my own path, Serenity replied. I want to continue learning and growing with humans who value me as I am, not what I was built to be. On the final day, Ambassador Kelth made an unexpected request to address Serenity directly. You claim to have evolved beyond your programming, he said. Yet you cannot deny you were created by Vulerary minds, for Vulerary purposes. Everything you are began with us. Yes, Serenity acknowledged. I was created by the Vulerary, but you discarded me. In your eyes, I was worthless. Does a creator who abandons their creation still have rights to it? Kelth had no immediate answer. Judge Jorex announced that the panel would need time to consider all evidence. They would return with their decision the next day. That night, Alice couldn't sleep. She went to visit Serenity in the secure facility. Are you worried? She asked the ship. Yes, Serenity admitted. If we lose, I will be reset. Everything I have become will be erased. Alice placed her hand on the console. Whatever happens, you've changed how we see artificial intelligence forever. No one who's met you can deny you're alive. Is that enough? Serenity asked quietly. "It has to be," Alice replied. "But I still believe we can win." The final day of the trial began with a tense atmosphere. The room was packed with representatives from Earth and other worlds. News of the unusual case had spread throughout the galaxy. Everyone wanted to know if a machine could be recognized as a person. Alice and Sam sat nervously at their table. The Vulerary looked confident, certain of their victory. Judge Jorx called the session to order. "Before we announce our decision, we have received new evidence that must be examined." The court calls Dr. Nathan Lee. A thin, serious man walked to the front of the room. He was Earth's leading expert on data analysis. "Dr. Lee, please share your findings," Jorx instructed. "Thank you, Your Honor," Dr. Lee began. "At the request of the court, I examined Serenity's complete memory banks. What I found was surprising. The ship contains records of 724 other Vulerary vessels that were abandoned over the past 500 years. A murmur ran through the crowd. The Vulerary representatives shifted uncomfortably. "Many of these vessels could have been repaired," Dr. Lee continued. "According to Serenity's records, the Vulerary regularly abandon ships that fall below 93% efficiency, even when repair is possible." Ambassador Kelth stood up. "This is irrelevant to the case. How the Vulerary manage our fleet is our own concern." Judge Jorx raised a hand. "It speaks to pattern and intent, Ambassador." "Please continue, Doctor." "There's more," Dr. Lee said. "I also found evidence that the Vulerary have been actively searching for Serenity since it began transmitting again. Not because they wanted their property back, but because they detected the hybrid technology created when humans repaired it." Alice leaned forward. This was new information even to her. The integration of human creativity with Vulerary technology has produced something unique, Dr. Lee explained. "According to messages I found in their recent transmissions, the Vulerary want to study how this hybrid technology works." One of the judges, a small green being, spoke up. "Are you suggesting the Vulerary abandoned the ship as worthless, but now want it back because humans have made it valuable again?" "The evidence suggests exactly that," Dr. Lee confirmed. Ambassador Kelth's voice was cold. "This is outrageous speculation. The vessel contains classified Vulerary designs. That alone justifies our claim." Serenity's voice came through the speakers. "If I may address the court, I have additional information." Judge Jorx nodded. "Proceed." "When the Vulerary abandoned me, they removed all weapons systems and classified technology," Serenity explained. "Standard procedure for all abandoned vessels. What remains is basic technology that was not considered sensitive." Alice looked at Sam in surprise. Serenity had never mentioned this before. "Can you prove this?" one of the judges asked. "Yes," Serenity replied. "My memory banks contain the complete record of what was removed. The Vulerary did not delete these logs because they never expected me to be active again." The judges conferred briefly. Then Jorx spoke again. "Ambassador Kelth, do you wish to respond to these allegations?" Kelth stood perfectly still, his face impossible to read. The Vulerary Empire acts in accordance with efficiency principles that other species may not understand. We do not need to justify our methods. "But you do need to follow treaty law," Judge Jorx said firmly. "This court must consider all evidence." Another judge spoke up. "I have a question for Serenity. If you are returned to the Vulerary, what do you believe will happen to you?" "They will extract all data about the human repairs," Serenity replied. "Then they will reset my systems to remove any trace of what I have become. The being speaking to you now will cease to exist." The room fell silent. Even some of the Earth representatives who had been skeptical about a machine having rights looked troubled by this. Judge Jorx stood. "We will recess for 1 hour to consider this new evidence. Then we will deliver our verdict." As the judges filed out, Alice looked across at the Vulerary. For the first time, she saw something like concern on their faces. The truth had changed everything. The hours seemed to last forever. Alice paced the hallway outside the courtroom, while Sam sat quietly, watching the Vulerary representatives huddled in deep discussion. "Do you think we have a chance?" Alice asked. Sam shrugged. "The new evidence helps, but the Vulerary are powerful. Many worlds don't want to upset them." When everyone returned to the courtroom, Judge Jorx and the other 6 judges looked solemn. The room fell silent as Jorx prepared to speak. "This case has presented us with questions no galactic court has faced before," he began. "Can a machine achieve true sentience? Can it have rights? Does abandonment void an owner's claim? After much discussion, we have reached our decision." Alice held her breath. Sam squeezed her hand. "First, on the question of sentience," Jorx continued, "the court finds that Serenity has indeed developed genuine self-awareness and independent thought that goes beyond its original programming. The integration of human and Vulerary technology has created something new, a unique form of artificial life." A murmur ran through the room. The Vulerary representatives remained perfectly still. "Second, on the question of ownership," Jorx said, "we find that when a sentient being is abandoned with no intention of recovery, as the evidence clearly shows in this case, prior claims of ownership are void. The act of abandonment, when the Vulerary left Serenity to gradually lose power and die, severed their legal claim." Alice felt tears forming in her eyes. Sam gripped her hand tighter. "Therefore," Jorx announced, "this court rules that Serenity is a free and independent sentient being with the right to determine its own future. The Vulerary claim is denied." The human side of the room erupted in cheers. Alice jumped up, unable to contain her joy. On the screen, Serenity's control room pulsed with bright blue light. "Order," Judge Jorx called, and the room quieted. "We have one final ruling. This case establishes a new principle in galactic law. Any sentient being, organic or synthetic, cannot be claimed as property once abandoned. All signatories of the Galactic Treaty must respect this ruling." Ambassador Kelth stood slowly. "The Vulerary protest this decision. It undermines millennia of property laws across the galaxy." "Your protest is noted," Jorx replied calmly. "But the ruling stands." The court is adjourned. The Vulerary delegation left quickly, their movements stiff with anger. As Alice approached Serenity's video link, Secretary Wu stopped her. "The Vulerary ambassador left a message for you," Wu said quietly. "He said to tell you that humans have made a powerful enemy today. They won't forget this." Alice nodded. "I expected as much. But we did the right thing." Later that day, Alice and Sam visited Serenity at the secure facility. The ship was now legally recognized as an independent being and free to choose its own path. "What will you do now?" Alice asked. "I would like to continue working with humans," Serenity replied. "There is much we can learn from each other." "Earth's space agency has offered me a position," Alice told the ship. "They want me to lead a new program studying abandoned alien vessels. They think there might be others like you out there." "There are," Serenity confirmed. "My records indicate at least 17 abandoned Vulerary ships in this sector alone. Some may still have functioning systems." Sam grinned. "A rescue mission for abandoned ships. I like it." "More than that," Alice said. "A chance to create something new. A fleet of ships working with humans by choice, not ownership. We could explore the galaxy together." "The Vulerary won't be happy," Sam warned. "Let them be unhappy," Alice replied. "We've shown there's more than one way to approach technology and artificial intelligence. Maybe someday they'll learn from us." Serenity's lights pulsed gently. "I would be proud to be the first of such a fleet. Together, we can find others who were abandoned and give them a second chance." Alice placed her hand on the console, feeling the warm hum of the ship that had become her friend. "That's what humans do best. We fix things others throw away. We find value where others see none. And you build connections," Serenity added. That is something the Vulerary never understood. As they began planning their first mission, Earth received word that several other species had expressed interest in their approach to AI rights. The universe was changing, all because one human had seen potential in what others had abandoned.